I caught my husband cheating with my own sister-in-law, in my bed, in my house. But that wasn't the worst part. A few days later, I checked the hidden camera footage, and what I saw made my blood run cold. She was standing in my kitchen, crushing pills, and mixing them into my morning smoothie, the same smoothie that caused me to lose my baby. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just betrayal. This was something much darker, and I made sure they paid for it. I came home early that crisp October afternoon, grocery bags swinging from my hands and a quiet smile on my face. I had picked up everything from Max's favorite meal, medium-rare steak, garlic mashed potatoes, and that expensive red wine we used to drink on date nights. I thought maybe, just maybe, cooking for him would close the strange distance that had grown between us lately. Instead, I stepped into our bedroom and found my husband Max on top of my sister-in-law Linda, in the exact king-sized bed where our 2 sons were conceived, where we had whispered our dreams for the future. But that betrayal, as devastating as it was, wasn't even the worst part. Weeks later, hidden camera footage revealed something far darker. At 6:12 a.m., while I was still asleep upstairs, Linda stood in my kitchen, carefully crushing pills and stirring them into my daily pregnancy smoothie. The same smoothie I had been drinking every morning. The same smoothie that caused me to lose the baby I was secretly carrying. She didn't just sleep with my husband in my own bed while I paid every bill. She tried to murder my unborn child while living under my roof for free. And I made sure both of them paid for it with everything they had left, their freedom, their reputations, their futures. If you've ever opened your home to someone you trusted, only to have them destroy your life from the inside, stay with me until the end. This story gets very dark, but it ends with justice. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, an account manager at a respected tech company in the suburbs of Chicago. For 12 years I was married to Max, 38, a regional sales manager who brought in most of our income. We had 2 beautiful boys, Jacob, 8, who lives for soccer, and Ethan, 5, who still crawls into my lap when he has nightmares. On paper, our life looked perfect. Big house with a backyard, family vacations, Sunday dinners. But perfection is often just a pretty lie. Linda is my sister-in-law, technically my ex-sister-in-law. She was married to Max's older brother Mark for 6 turbulent years before their ugly divorce 2 years ago. When she showed up on our doorstep broke, unemployed, and crying about having nowhere to go, Max and I didn't hesitate. Just a few months until she gets back on her feet, he said. 14 months later, she was still there. I treated Linda like my own blood. I gave her the guest room for free. I slipped her cash every week so she wouldn't feel ashamed. I listened to her cry for hours on the back porch about how Mark had destroyed her. I cooked extra dinners, did her laundry when she forgot, updated her resume, drove her to job interviews, and introduced her to my friends. I even turned down a major promotion at work because it required heavy travel. I told myself my family needed me home. I was secretly pregnant again with our 3rd child. I hadn't told Max yet. I wanted it to be a joyful surprise after all the stress. But slowly, the warning signs appeared. Linda started wearing tight, revealing clothes around the house, low-cut tops and tiny shorts even when the boys were home. She laughed too loudly at Max's jokes. She lingered in the kitchen with him every morning after I left for work. Max began defending her aggressively whenever I gently suggested it was time for her to find her own place. The good morning kisses he once gave me became shorter, colder. Our intimate life almost disappeared. There was one night I came downstairs for water at 1 a.m. and heard them whispering in the living room. Linda said softly, "Sarah is so lucky to have you. I wish someone looked at me the way you look at her." Max didn't correct her. He just chuckled. I convinced myself I was paranoid. "She's family," I whispered to my reflection. "Family helps each other." I was wrong. So terribly wrong. It was a Wednesday, Jacob had a fever at school, so I left work early. I stopped at the grocery store, excited to surprise Max with his favorite dinner. The house was strangely quiet when I walked in. No cartoons, no noise from the boys' video games. I crept upstairs, grocery bags rustling softly. Then I heard its soft laughter, the familiar creak of our bed, whispers of baby, and I've wanted you for so long. My stomach dropped. I froze outside our bedroom door, the same door with the little dent from Jacob's tricycle years ago. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I pushed the door open just an inch, and my world shattered. Max was on top of Linda in our bed. Her hands were tangled in his hair. His shirt lay on the floor. Afternoon sunlight poured through the curtains we had chosen together, illuminating their betrayal in cruel detail. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I backed away silently, went downstairs, and unpacked the groceries like a robot. When they finally came down 20 minutes later, flushed and pretending nothing happened, I even smiled and asked what they wanted for dinner. That night, while they watched TV on the couch like a happy little family, I ordered hidden cameras and voice recorders online. I installed them the next day when they were both out, one in the bedroom vent, one in the kitchen, one in the living room. 2 days later, I sat in my car in a parking lot and opened the footage. First came the affair videos, multiple times, different angles, their voices clear as day, planning how to push me out, how to make me look unstable so Max could get the house in full custody. But then I saw something that made my blood run cold. At 6:12 a.m., Linda stood at my kitchen counter in her robe. She pulled out a small bag of pills, crushed them carefully with a spoon, and stirred the powder into the green smoothie I drank every single morning for my pregnancy. She even tasted it and smiled. I had lost the baby 2 weeks earlier. The doctor said it was unexplained. Now I knew the truth. I vomited out the car window. I screamed until my throat was raw. Then I sat there in silence as a colder, stronger version of Sarah was born in that moment. She didn't just steal my husband in my own bed. She tried to murder my child while I fed her and housed her for free. I never confronted them. Not once. I kept making smoothies every morning with a smile. I continued cooking dinners, laughing at their jokes, and playing the perfect wife and sister-in-law while I built my case like a fortress. I hired the best divorce attorney in Chicago and a ruthless criminal defense lawyer who specializes in violent crimes. We met in secret coffee shops across town. I downloaded every second of footage, bank records showing Max had secretly transferred $52,000 to Linda, text messages, and medical reports linking the exact substance in those pills to my miscarriage. I saved samples of every smoothie in the fridge for toxicology. I documented everything with timestamps and dates. At night, I would sit in my car after the boys were asleep and cry until I had no tears left. Then I would wipe my face, look in the mirror, and whisper, they wanted war. They had no idea I would destroy their entire world. I chose Sunday family dinner when Max's parents were visiting. We sat around the table like always, laughter, mashed potatoes, red wine. I smiled sweetly and said, "Before we eat, I have something everyone needs to see." I turned on the projector we used for family movie nights. First came the affair footage. Gasps filled the room. Max turned white. Linda looked like she might faint. Then came the kitchen footage, Linda crushing the pills and stirring them into my smoothie. The date and time stamp clear. Max's mother screamed. His father stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. Chaos exploded. By the next morning, I had already filed everything. Civil divorce papers demanding the house, full custody, high alimony, and repayment of every stolen cent. Criminal charges against Linda for felony poisoning with intent to cause miscarriage, attempted murder of an unborn child. The scandal tore through our community like wildfire. Max was suspended, then fired. Linda was arrested in our driveway while the boys were at school, handcuffs and all, captured on neighbors' phones. In court, the evidence was overwhelming. The judge called Linda's actions calculated and evil. She was convicted and sentenced to 14 months in prison. When she gets out, a permanent court order will prevent her from ever having legal custody or adopting any child. Her name is now on a child endangerment registry for life. Max lost everything: the house, the kids, his reputation, and most of his savings. Linda and Max's affair ended in a screaming public fight in the parking lot of his cheap new apartment. He abandoned her completely the moment the charges were filed. Today I am a senior account manager, the promotion I once turned down. I bought a beautiful new house with a big backyard just minutes from the boys' school. Jacob and Ethan are thriving. They smile more, sleep better, and ask about their father less and less. We are healing together, one gentle day at a time. Max lives in a rundown one-bedroom apartment across town. He's blacklisted from sales jobs and completely cut off by his own family. The last I heard, he spends most nights alone with regret and cheap beer. Linda served her time and is now out, but she is a ghost. No one will hire her. No one will speak to her. She will never be called Mom, because the court made sure of that. A few months ago, she called me from an unknown number, crying, begging for forgiveness. I listened calmly, then said one final sentence. You slept with my husband in my bed while I paid every bill and welcomed you into my home. You stood in my kitchen and poisoned my baby. I took your freedom, your future, and your chance to ever be a mother. Live with it. Then I hung up. They took my trust. They tried to take my child. In the end, I took everything from them. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud screaming or dramatic fights. It's quiet. It's calculated. It's legal. And it is permanent. Would you send the person who betrayed you to prison? If Sarah's story touched you, hit like right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more real stories of betrayal and justice. Comment the word justice below if you want part 2, how I'm rebuilding my life, and the surprising man who is now showing me what real love feels like. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.